Hey everyone, Danny here. I'm here today to talk about the latest in the Sonic the Hedgehog video game franchise, more specifically the classic Sonic series, Sonic Superstars. As of this current recording, the game has only been out for a couple of days and I picked it up that day physically on the Switch. So as of this video, I have yet to experience everything this game has to offer, but I have played a lot of the main game, so I feel like I have enough to really talk about it. And I gotta say, it's a pretty fun game, for the most part. Despite the 3D graphics, it very much feels like a classic Sonic game, so if you've mainly only played the classic Sonic games, this shouldn't feel too off for you. But there is enough content here to make it feel like a brand new game, such as the 2 to 4 player co-op, the battle mode, and some of the new power-ups whenever you're playing the main game and you collect the Chaos Emerald. Now, as of this video, I have yet to really experience any kind of multiplayer, so I won't be commenting on those modes too much, but I will say that they do look like a pretty fun time with friends and family. So, I'm mainly talking about the game from a single player perspective. And just in case you are a single player that's about to play the game and you're worried that it might feel like it's meant for more than one person, don't worry, it very much feels like a single player game that you can also play with 3 other people. At least when it comes to the levels, it feels like that. Now, when it comes to the bosses, those feel a little more like you need more people for it to go by a little quicker. It doesn't take that long to beat the bosses when you're a single player, but I do wish it was a little bit faster to be able to beat them even if you don't have anyone else around. As for the levels themselves, they're designed pretty well for the most part, and they got visual appeal, so I like them. Now, there are some level gimmicks in certain levels that are pretty annoying, but overall, they're pretty good. As for the special stages, there's a couple of different types of them. If you have at least 50 rings and you pass by a checkpoint, then you can jump into this portal that'll bring you to a special stage, kind of like in Sonic 2. Although the special stage this time is set up a little more like the Sonic 1 special stages, which were not my favorite, but these feel a lot better. Now, you don't get emeralds in these stages, instead you get these medals, which are used as currency to buy certain parts for your robot character for battle mode. Now, as for the emerald special stages, you find these in these giant rings, kinda like Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Mania. This time it's a 3D area where you have to grapple onto these things to try and reach the emerald in time. Now, you can collect more time by collecting more rings, but these can be pretty challenging. Now, the first few aren't that hard, but once you get to the green emerald challenge, that's when things get pretty tough. A little too tough, honestly. I still think Sonic Mania's special stages are better than this one, but I do think this one is a lot better than a lot of the other previous Sonic game special stages. Now, if you were to find another one of these big rings, even though you already got the emerald, this time they'll be blue, and once you enter them, it'll be the same thing, except you get more medals. So at least it's not completely useless like you're just getting more rings or something. Now, there is one more quote-unquote special stage type portal thing that takes you to this place where you can just get a bunch of rings and that's about it. I mean, it's a fine gimmick, it's just kind of there. Not really all that useful, but kind of useful at the same time. Going back to the medals, they aren't that frequent, so it might take you a little while to get enough to get parts for your robot character that you want, but they're also in more than just the special stages. Because for every 100 rings you get one. You can defeat these golden enemies that have some, or you can just find them in random parts of the level. Now, outside of the regular types of levels, you also have these gimmicky types of levels, where one type you have to have enough fruit, and once you enter it, you get a bunch of rings and thus getting more medals. Plus, you can play these as any characters, but then there's also these other types of gimmicky levels where they're specific to a certain character, so you can only play as like Sonic, or only as Amy, or only as Knuckles, or only as Tails. So that's a pretty fun change up from the regular levels. So overall, this game has a lot going for it. I mean, the only complaints I really have is that some of the levels can last a bit too long by classic Sonic standards, and some of the gimmicky stages are not the best, but overall, the positives definitely outweigh the negatives, and I think this game is really fun. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I got the Switch version, so obviously it's going to look a little weaker than the other versions, but how much worse do the graphics look compared to the other ones? I have seen the comparison videos showing off what the Switch version looks like compared to the PS5 version, and it obviously looks downgraded, but given the type of game that this is and the art style that they went with, it still looks pretty good for a Switch game. It's mainly just downgraded with lighting, and you might see a little more pixels here and there, but other than that, it still looks pretty fine. And it actually runs pretty well. It runs at 60 FPS. But the ultimate question is, would I recommend this game at $60? Well, in all honesty, it might depend on how big of a classic Sonic fan you are, or just a Sonic fan in general. If you're a big Sonic fan, you're probably not going to care how much it costs. You probably already bought it or plan on buying it anyway. If you're not that big of a fan, I'd say probably wait for the game to go down about $10 or $20 because I wouldn't recommend this at the full 60. 40 or 50 would probably be fine because there's a lot of content here. I just don't think there's enough here to justify $60 to a casual player. So I think it's a little overpriced, but not that overpriced for what you're getting. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and like it if you did like it, and subscribe for more of these or any other types of videos that I make. And thank you for watching. Now, this was a slightly different type of video for me. I've done videos like this before where I talk about mostly new games, but I don't really buy a whole lot of new games, so I can't say that this could become a series. This could be the only video, it could be one of few videos, or I could continue to do it for a long time. I have no clue. It just all depends on how much people like these and how much money I'll have to buy new games. Which is why I'm sticking to games that are less than a year old rather than games that have like just come out or something like that. I mean, Sonic Superstars came out just a couple days ago as of this recording, but I don't plan to do it like that a whole lot if I start doing videos like this, is basically where I'm getting at. But it also depends on how much you all want to see it, so I hope you enjoyed at least this one. Thank you for watching again, and have yourself a good day.